Hello viewers, this is Dr. Qamar Cheema and I'm still here in Pokhara, Nepal, and you must be seeing that I'm wearing this beautiful khada and this is one of the cultural thing. We were in one of the ministries of Pokhara and they gave us as a token of love and gesture for that, and today obviously I have a wonderful guest with me. I'm so kind he spared some time for the talk for my YouTube channel. I have with me Professor Silva. He's teaching law in Sri Lanka and he was with us, one of the panelists in this conference, and I thought to get some of his thoughts and pick some of his thoughts so that we can understand what's going on in Sri Lanka and the political situation as well, and how had this been conference for Professor Silva. First of all, thank you very much, Professor Silva, for your time.
You are welcome.
So Professor Silva, first of all, since you come from Sri Lanka and we have seen that things are in moving shape, the things are shaking up. So how do you find the democracy in Sri Lanka, and how do you see the political stability in Sri Lanka? At first place I would like to ask, and then later on we will talk about this.
Yeah, as far as democracy is concerned, it is stable. As far as stability, political stability and economic stability of the country are bit unstable. In the sense, it is charitable to say bit unstable. It is terribly unstable now. We have a crisis of foreign reserves. As a result, the economic situation of the country is very, very weak, and we are not in a position to import our essentials. We depend on foreign suppliers for our fuel, for our essential food commodities. So those are being affected very badly. As a result, we have long queues for gas, cooking gas. We have long queues for fuel for motor vehicles, and we have also having power cuts because of lack of fuel for running our thermal power plants. So this has affected, plus because of a bleak position in foreign reserves, our currency is extremely depleted compared with foreign currencies. We were earlier, say 6 months back, it was around less than 200 rupees per US dollars. Now it is 365 or 70. That clearly shows that our rupee has lost its value, which has in turn caused prices to go up skyrocketing, which is affecting the people very much.
Well, Professor Silva, we can understand. I was in Pakistan. I'm coming from Pakistan, and we can understand that things are not good that much, and people who are just equating Pakistan's situation with Sri Lanka, indeed, because the rupee's price is falling. Even just yesterday, the petrol prices have increased 200 to 10 rupees per liter, which is obviously so much expensive. We can understand things are obviously. We were watching, and people were equating Pakistan and Sri Lanka, but obviously there is a difference between obviously both the countries because of geography and so many other reasons. But Professor, I want to ask a question from you. How do you see that the role of China in Sri Lanka? We have seen that China has come up with some investment, but we have also seen that there are some sentiments that Chinese are giving loans which are not good for maybe Sri Lanka. So how do you see that, please?
No, that's the general perception. I may say that because in reality they have given loans at a very high interest rate, which has affected Sri Lanka's financial stability, because they owe very much to China, and repayments are due very shortly, and China is not very much interested in restructuring the loan. They have come up and they have said that they are prepared to give loans, further loans, but they need to get that loan to repay the earlier loans. They don't want to restructure the loan, and they have invested on projects which are not returning any financial gains. They have invested in projects like Matle Airport, international airport, where people sometimes joke, we have an international airport where we don't get any planes. We have an international port built in Hambantota, where we hardly see any foreign vessels coming and using it. We have a cricket ground again in the south where matches are not played. So these are investment given by China, drawn by the Sri Lankan government to image build the then rulers, but not at all any return to the people. So these are investment without value. That is hurting the Sri Lankan financial situation.
That's very obviously disturbing to know that obviously whatever the money should be spent, that should be spent for the well-being of the people. So in this situation, obviously, as you told that the money which is being spent by the Chinese, that is not coming up with actually some stability, and that is not of value so much as far as the projects are concerned. So how do you see the role of India in that? We have seen that recently some investments have come for India, and the Sri Lankan finance minister also visited India for that matter, and we have seen that, hearing that the Indians are putting some money there. Do you think that India is doing something for the Sri Lankan economy, or do you think that India and China both are just competing for an influence in Sri Lanka?
No, what you said last may be true, but we need to wait and see. At the moment, when Sri Lanka is in a dire economic strait, India is giving a helping hand. They have within last few months given around $2 to $3 billion in loan and credit line. They are supplying fuel to the country, but at the same time the allegations are, because these are not transparent, allegations are that Sri Lanka is acceding to India's demand with regard to setting up certain ventures in Sri Lanka's territory, which is to safeguard the security interest of India. They felt if those areas are given to China and China was interested in having them, it will be a security threat for India. So they need to come in to ensure that those threats are warded off, and they will be in a position to have cordial relationship with Sri Lanka and ensure Sri Lanka continues to be a friendly neighbor, not permit its territory for activities which may be hostile or seen to be hostile to Indian interest.
So definitely that's good that there is some country, India is putting some money for some kind of development or some kind of firefighting, particularly I shall say. That is really good. But how do you see the overall the support of the IMF and the other global financial institutions, as we have felt that Sri Lanka is being ignored by the global community? For example, the Americans and the others, they have a deep influence now in the Indo-Pacific region. They develop quadrilateral security dialogue, and they are into this, that we need to invest money into such kind of things. But why globally the global powers are ignoring Sri Lanka, or do you think this is wrong? Because we have also felt that somehow Sri Lanka is becoming a punching bag between US, China and India. So what is that? Why the world is ignoring this default in Sri Lanka?
No, I don't think we could categorize that the world is ignoring Sri Lanka. What the world community, in fact particularly the IMF and World Bank, have said is, please first put your financial fiscal structure in a very sound position. The macroeconomic policies should be sound. What you have been doing is very, very bad for the country's economic position. We are prepared to come in and help you, provided you put all those structures which are necessary to run a country economically viable in place. Once that is done, we are ever ready to come in. They don't want to pump in money where these structures are not put in place, and it will be like going down the drain.
Okay, fine. Now, Professor Silva, since we are here in Nepal, and we have seen wonderful presentations from you about Sri Lanka and the political system, and about the how the federalism and how you have explained us basically how things are going. So, what is your takeaway from this conference, which has been funded by the Hans Seidel Foundation, and they have brought people from across the region to connect and to engage and to create a healthy intellectual intellectual debate among scholars, professionals, and even at times some diplomats. So how do you see and what is your takeaway from this conference?
Yes, just to clarify a position, what I spoke about our country is not federalism, it is quasi-unitary and going for devolution of power. However, there is what I feel is a reluctance on the part of the central government to implement what has happened in 1987. But the takeaway from this conference is very good because federalism can be seen as a unifying, holding together means rather than dividing the country. So it is very refreshing and heartening to learn how federalism is functioning in and around Sri Lanka, particularly around Sri Lanka, and we should take a leaf from this lesson to shape our political future in the country.
One small question, last question from you is that what experience you will share with your students and what will you advise and what will you tell about this conference from here?
I will definitely pass on the message that federalism is not to be feared. You need to work it for your own benefit, right? It is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. So you can design your model to suit your own needs. At the same time, you should be in a position to permit different diverse communities to have decision-making power over their own destiny.
Thank you very much, Professor Silva from Sri Lanka. It was a pleasure talking to you and sharing, since you shared your thoughts with us. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.